we would use some of our anime influence in our boards, and every once in a while we'd get like a note from the the showrunners. It's like not too anime. like a shot might be a little too anime for their tastes, but I think we were already like, some of it was already kind of, it was just so in us that it was coming through in a lot of what we did. But Avatar was definitely the first show that really embraced it and really loved it, and it was in the DNA, and they wanted to celebrate it. So it was great to not have to like try to slide it in under the radar. But yeah.
Amazing.
Let's get into Avatar. Even though you came in on book 3, you obviously knew the show. Do you have a favorite of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the first series? Do you have a favorite just a book, like season or anything?
Oh, you know what? That's a very hard question. I think it's kind of a toss-up between like the first book and the second book. I tend to be an act 1 sort of lady. Like I love the discovery. Like I love
the setup,
the kind
the
of
setup
the
of the
new,
story.
like finding all the setup. And so there was so much like great stuff in that act 1. And like, I don't know, even like the blue spirit that's in book 1, of just like those first hints of like, oh, there's more to Zuko than you think. I'm probably just going to go with book 1. I enjoy waterbending too. If I had to choose a bender, I'd probably go with Earth. But we did on our crew, we all took the test, like the little online test.
You are getting, I got to stop you. You're getting ahead of yourself. We have to save that question for,
let's save it for later.
We got to.
Okay,
we gotta save that question.
I jumped.
This
is
tantalizing.
Way too far.
No. You didn't know what we were planning, but this is very tantalizing because it's a real cliffhanger. Like this is a real. Okay. You're like, this I like this, but I took the test and then we're like, and we'll come back to that. So that's good suspense, right? That's very good suspense, and I love like the sort of I love the reasoning behind loving that first book so much. And I kind of feel similarly, even though like there are characters and arcs that, I can't imagine not happening. Of course, we have the luxury of saying what a choice is, knowing that all of the great juicy stuff happens no matter what we choose. But that first season, also the hero's journey of it, right? That there's that you really start to get that feeling of like, oh, I'm going to see many new things. I'm not starting out in Ba Sing Se, or I'm not starting out in the Fire Nation in this sort of slightly more consistent locale. Like we're going all over the place as we see these characters discover these places, in many cases for the first time. So that makes a lot of sense, especially for a world builder like you, because you're kind of seeing what's possible from the jump. Yeah. So that totally makes sense. What about episodes? Do you have episodes in any of the books that you're just like, oh, this is a favorite,
Toph's intro episode, The Blind Bandit. I think
great.
That's just always a favorite of mine. Like her whole introduction, the fight, the way her powers were introduced, like the way she can kind of sense through the earthbending, and just the over the topness of like the fun of the pro wrestling. It's just so much fun. Like I really, really enjoyed that episode. It's one that I look back to because not only do I enjoy it for the content, but I really love like how it was boarded, like the shot choices that they made, like the timing. It's all just really, really great.
It's a great one. Any others that stand out to you? Like, Tales of Ba Sing Se is a big hit with the fans, but you had to test off of that episode. So I don't know if that episode might feel stressful to you in a way that we can't.
It is. It's like, that's, I also just really enjoy, it's funny because when I rewatch them on Netflix to like remind myself of what it is, like the end of the series, they took like 4 to 6 episodes. I can't even remember how many, and
together.
They're all like just junked into
like
one.
A movie.
But it's such a huge thing, and like there's so many like amazing moments in that finale, like Azula breaking down, the Zuko and Azula face off. Really, it's just a lot of like Azula and Zuko stuff that like I find very like compelling and interesting. Yes. But then of course like the big culmination of Aang's arc and like the huge battle between him and Ozai. It's all just really like, it was so beautifully done. I just really enjoy those ones as well.
Epic. It's epic. Like, you really get the sense. And that's what also continues to just dazzle me so much about the series in general is there are so many moments where, and of course, Mike and Brian, and maybe, I mean, you probably don't have the same sense of this that they do because they're so aware of the advancements in technology and the advancements in animation. So, you know, we'll have this emotional conversation with them where Dante and I are just like, and then in that first season when Aang and Zuko finally, and they're like, oh yeah, there was so much we wish we could do better about that. And you were like, what are you talking about?
Like, what?
You know, because for us, it's like, there's so many things like the evolution of everyone's bending and stuff. Like Katara, you sort of see a thing and you're like, that's amazing. It couldn't get any more amazing. And then there's an episode down the line where something even more amazing happens. She does this whole new thing with water bending that you're like, wait, what? That was like still to come? And that goes all the way until the end of the series, right? Like, there's stuff and in that final episode where you're like, I genuinely felt like they couldn't top stuff I've already seen, and it's happening right now. And that is magic to me. Like, I don't know how that even works, you know?
Yeah, that I think is the plague of being an artist and a creator, is like, you have this idea in your head and you're trying to get as close to it as you can, and you can never meet it. And so all you end up seeing is just like the deficiencies, like all the areas where you didn't make it. But the audience only sees what you give them, and most of the time, if they're a good, healthy audience, they appreciate it. They appreciate what you're giving them. And so, yeah, it's why we're all so tortured.
Thank you. Thank you for making me feel a part of that.
It's like people always ask, like, whenever I'm talking to someone, they ask what I do, and I say, oh, I work in animation. They're like, that sounds fun. And I was like, you'd think it would be fun, but I'm telling you, it can sometimes, I want to murder things. But you know, it's that's what we do.
Since you've actually drawn these places, but do you have a favorite place in the world of Avatar that you would like to visit for any reason?
You know, probably Ba Sing Se, just because there's so much to see. Also, I would freeze my butt off in like the water tribe.
Yeah,
and,
a lot to do in Ba Sing Se. There's a lot to do in that city. A lot of fun things to do in Ba Sing Se.
Yeah,
sure.
Each of the different rings like offers you different things to see, and it seems fun. Like, it feels theme parky, and I'm like, yeah,
yes.
Ba Sing Se is like Avatar Disneyland. I want to go there.
Good public transit over there. Good public transit.
That's right.
Public transit, like lovely little abodes. Like, just give me a nice freebie little Earth house. I'll take it. Hey,
clean streets.
As long as you don't make any waves, you're safe.
You're safe.
Like, I feel like I could keep to myself, that, you know, not arouse any suspicions, and live a happy life.
I agree, and you're right. You know, when you bring up the rings, it's true that like you certainly hear about that and you see it play out to a degree in the episodes that follow after the gang is kind of finding out, like, okay, here's the setup of the city, here's how it all works, here's what these different areas represent and what they allow, and who lives there. But yet at the same time, there's so much going on in the story that you're not really spending time the way, you know, like an RPG play, like those sorts of like immersive experiences where you're like, well, wait, now that I know the rules of the city, like, I want to have the freedom to kind of see all of that myself. Because, you know, there's only so much you can explore, but it does give the sense, especially with Tales of Ba Sing Se, of all of these little pockets of life happening everywhere that
there's
you sort of wish you could just go and be a fly on the wall.
There's a lot to do in Ba Sing Se. And when you go, I have good recommendations. I got a great tea shop you should definitely check out. Best tea in Ba Sing Se, 100%.
Sure. Hope it's still there.
Jasmine Dragon, check it out.
Are there any specific memories you have of like working on particular episodes where, you know, there's the sort of like the stress or the magic, or, you know, having that new idea of like, what if we, you know, something like that?
Well, there's definitely been both. Storyboarding is a stressful job. It's just a lot. It's a lot of pencil mileage. There's a lot like there's just a lot you have to do. And back in the days, like we worked on paper, which was like a pain in the butt. As soon as we went digital, like life got better, but it also gave you more control. So you ended up doing more, so you made more work for yourself.
No.
But usually like when you break down the amount of pencil mileage you're going to have to do for a scene, an acting scene, like that's like a talking scene or character scene between two people, is usually like a simpler task. It doesn't mean you need any less talent or less like attention to detail, but there's less drawings necessary for it. And then you get the martial arts stuff, and the bigger it is, like the bigger the attack. I worked on, was it like the Day of Black Sun? It's whatever, the big eclipse where they do the big attack in, I think,
part
the middle
part one
of
and two, that episode.
Book 3. Yeah. And I think we worked on part 2, which was where most of the hell broke loose. And armies, like fire armies, like the sieged water tribe, Earth Kingdom, like everyone. It was a lot of pencil and mileage. And so I just remember like sweating bullets trying to make sure that I was getting everything done, because like you don't want to be late, and schedules were a little less forgiving back in the day. Like,
so we've heard.
I think we had 5 weeks, which I think for me was like, oh my God, 5 weeks. I had 4 weeks on Justice League, which was like, hey, have an army of superheroes fight an army of mindless robots in every episode. And like I didn't have a life on Justice League. I lived at work and I just worked.
Wow.
Avatar, I was able to have a life. It was nice.
I'm digging this term, pencil mileage.
Oh yeah.
This first time I heard
it's
it.
like shoe leather.
This first time hearing this sounds just so good. I'm thinking there's miles and miles of ink going on.
The
on these
amount
paintings.
of drawing you have to do. Yeah, the amount of graphite that ends up on that page. The amount of pages, like, oh my goodness, like phone books. These storyboard stacks just drunk. They were huge. So there was a stress, but there are certainly moments that like you always, once you kind of get into a scene, you usually end up loving it. There's a few that you hate because you're just like, this is so hard. But once you're kind of like figuring out that puzzle, it becomes like this pride thing where you're like, yeah, I figured that out. I'm really proud of like how this is coming together. And I think one of my favorite scenes to do was that scene in I forget which part. I think it was probably part 3 of the finale, where Azula kind of like talks to her mother and has a breakdown. And I remember working with that script and like being very conscious of my shots and staging it in such a way where, depending on how you viewed it, like it either looked like Azula was turning away from the mirror to face her mother in real life, or if you knew that her mother only existed in the mirror, she was turning her back on her mother. Ooh. And it could be read in different ways.
It was very cinematic, that moment.
But that was a really fun, like, as simple as it is, it's just two people kind of having this conversation. It was really fun to figure out. I had a lot of, there was also like the moment of her like doing her hair and messing it up and like chopping her bangs off, and just a lot of those things were just fun for me to draw, fun to figure out, fun to like make her get all kind of like out of sorts and like upset about things. There's just Azula acting was always really fun.
Bend your ear for ad-free episodes with Avatar Braving the Elements Premium.
Subscribe today on Apple Podcasts.